Well, friends, I have some good news to share with you, especially if you are in the United States. Now you can order up to 4 rapid COVID antigen tests for free, and there is no catch. So the question is, how good are these tests? Can we rely on them? Hello everyone, I'm Naveen Agarwal, and those of you who have followed my channel for a while, you know testing is one area I have really focused on, and I have done a lot of videos. You can find them on my channel. But in this video, I will share with you first how you can get your free tests if you have not already done that. What are some of the likely tests that could show up on your doorstep? Now, I don't know for sure, it's a guess, but it's a guess based on more than 1 year of me following this area. And finally, most importantly, I will share with you my analysis of how good are these tests, how accurate they are, and what do the results mean. But share in your comments below if you have already taken advantage of this opportunity. And if not, what are some of your questions around it? Or any other question related to COVID testing in general, please share below and I will be happy to follow up as soon as I possibly can. So let's look into it right away. How does this program work? What are some of the likely tests? And what is their performance? So here's the website, covidtests.gov. You can go there and get free at-home COVID-19 tests. Only 4 tests per US residential address. US addresses only, including US territories and overseas military and diplomatic addresses. No other addresses can be used for this purpose. It's very easy. In fact, I did it this Monday. Here's the link, special.usps.com/testkits. You go there, place the order, fill the form, only a little bit of contact information, and it's completely free. Not even shipping and handling charges. No questions asked. That's what you have to do. So which test are you likely to get? And again, let me emphasize, I don't know for sure. You cannot pick a specific brand. You don't know what kind of brands are available. You just fill this information and something will show up at your doorstep 7 to 10 business days after. But I'm going to give you 4 of my guesses based on more than 1 year of following this program. Let me know in your comments below. I'll be very curious to learn from you which test you got. Okay, so the first one is Binex now, that I think is very likely to be part of this program. Ellume COVID-19 home test, again very likely. Quidel Quick View at-home COVID test, and BD Veritor at-home COVID-19 test. Now, let me say this up front. I have no relationship with the manufacturers of these tests, and this is not an endorsement or promotion by any means. I just think these are likely to be part of this program. And I want to share with you my analysis. It's completely independent analysis from publicly available data. I don't have any inside information to share with you how these tests are going to perform. So let's look into that right away. We look at 4 different things. Something called positive agreement. Positive agreement basically means that if I know for sure a certain sample is positive from RT-PCR, is the test also testing that to be positive? That's positive agreement. How good is the agreement between a known positive sample and the test result? 100% meaning all of the known positives are tested positive by the test. That would be the best, right? Negative agreement, the same way for known negative samples. If I know for sure that a certain sample is negative because I've done RT-PCR, is the test also telling me that it is negative? That's negative agreement. Positive predictive value, PPV, at 5% disease prevalence. This is a calculated quantity. We do a lot of statistical analysis. I have done some videos on this. But to me, this number, and you will not find that in the paperwork that comes with the test. You will find only the first 2. You will not find that. But to me, this is an indication of the real world performance of the test. Because what the positive predictive value means is that as an individual, if I did this test and I got a positive result, how confident can I be? If the positive predictive value is 100%, I'm 100% confident that my result is a true positive. But if it is lower, my confidence is lower. So the positive agreement is not the same as positive predictive value. That's why I emphasize this a lot, to understand in the real world how good the test would be for you as an individual. Now, negative predictive value, or NPV, same number at 5%, is on the negative side. If I test as an individual and get a negative result, how confident can I be? If it's 100%, my negative is a true negative, and that is not the same as negative agreement. So let me emphasize that. Positive predictive value is the level of confidence in an individual positive result, and a negative predictive value is a level of confidence in the individual negative result. That's what we should care about in the real world. 5% is an assumption. We are assuming that the rate of COVID infections is about 5%, and we can do this analysis at other rates also, but typically even FDA will do that as 5%. So think of it as normalizing the way we are doing this calculation, kind of standardizing it. Okay, so let's look at Binex now. The positive agreement is 84.6%, meaning 99 of the true 117 samples were tested positive. It's not 100%. Negative agreement is 98.5%, meaning 338 samples out of 343 known negative samples were negative. It's not 100%. What does it mean for positive predictive value? So I did the numbers, and it is only 75%. But the range, let's pay attention to the range, is 56 to 88%. It could be anywhere in that range. And the reason for that is because of the sample size they have taken and their performance at the positive agreement and the negative agreement. So if I, as an individual, get a positive result, there's only a 75% chance that it's a true positive. Negative predictive value, on the other hand, is very good. It's 99.2% and very small range, so high amount of confidence. But it's important to point out that it's only at the time of doing the test. If you do the test 2 or 3 days later, maybe now you may be positive. So the negative is in the moment, and that's why there's a strong recommendation that if you test negative and you know you are being exposed, do the test 24 to 48 hours later again and see what the result is. And we'll talk a little bit more about the best way to do this test, any rapid antigen test, for maximum confidence. We'll talk about that as soon as I complete this information with you. Now let's look at Illume. Positive agreement is 94.6%, much higher. Negative agreement is 96.7%, a little bit lower. Not too bad, a little bit lower. But let's see what happens to the positive predictive value. It is lower, even though the positive agreement is much higher. It's at 61.6%, and the range is 40 to 79%. So the positive predictive value matters. That's the real world performance of this test. NPV is 99.7%. So it's much higher. Let's look at quick view. 83.5% positive agreement. That 81 out of 97 is the number of samples that tested positive out of the 97 known positives. 99.2% negative agreement, and the positive predictive value is 84.9%. So a little bit higher, ranging from 58 to 96. Negative predictive value is 99.1%. Now let's look at BD Veritor. 84.6%. So it's about the same as Binex now, but look at its negative agreement. 99.8%. It's the highest of all, and they tested over 500 samples. So they tested a lot, and most of them came out as true negatives, and that's why their test performance seems pretty good. PPV is 96.1%, the highest of the four. 78 to 99%. So you'll have pretty high amount of confidence with BD Veritor. 99.2% negative predictive value. Now, there are differences in performance. We see by the numbers the BD Veritor looks pretty good. And again, let me emphasize, I have no relationship with any of these 4 companies. But BD Veritor data looks pretty good. Other tests are not bad. So I don't want us to think that these tests are bad. They are better than having no test at all. But I want us to understand how to evaluate, how to interpret the result that we get out of them. A positive is not necessarily a confirmed true positive. It's a high chance, but not a 100% chance. Negative, on the other hand, is very high chance that it is a true negative at that time. So let me share with you some tips on how to maximize the amount of confidence. If you have symptoms, and many symptoms are similar to flu-like symptoms as we know, do the test no later than 5 to 7 days after your symptoms appear. Make sure you do the test early when your symptoms are there. Second, if you don't have symptoms, but you know you have been exposed to somebody, wait 4 to 5 days after exposure and no symptoms to do the test. But maybe you have to go somewhere and you have to confirm it. Do the test as close to the time that you want to use the information as possible, because if you get a negative, very high chance you are negative at that time. You may not be negative 1 day later or 2 days later or 3 days later. So you may have to repeat the test, and that is why the instructions will tell you that if you test negative, you should repeat the test 24 to 48 hours later. Now, if you have symptoms and if you get a negative result, very high chance that you have some other infection, not COVID. Okay? And if you don't have symptoms and you get a positive result, it could be a false positive, but could also be a positive, and you should confirm that with a PCR test. So I hope it helps you understand what your individual test result might mean for you. But if you have any questions, please share below in your comments, and I will be happy to provide more information and explanation so you can understand it better. So well, friends, I hope all of you in the US will take advantage of this opportunity and place your order as soon as possible. Supply is going to ramp up. That's what we are hearing in the news. In the beginning, it might be a little bit slow, but it is not like they're going to run out. They have really signed a pretty big contract with 3 or 4 different suppliers. And most likely you will be able to get your free test within 7 to 10 days after placing your order. Let me know what else is on your mind. What else would you like to learn more about testing or vaccines or any other topics? I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope all of you continue to remain safe.